All right, so I'm not sure how many of you guys watched it last night, but last night was the UFC 214. It was they had the triple main event. They had Cyborg Justino going for the belt. Tyrone Woodley defending his belt, the welterweight belt, and they also had the light heavyweight rematch between John Jones and Daniel Cormier. Those guys have been, battling out and in words for about 2 years, ever since their first bout, which John Jones absolutely dominated. Anyway, my main reactions to these, I mean, mainly the first, mainly the main three bouts, because the some of the other bouts were great. I mean, there were a couple of bouts, especially like one of the light heavyweight bouts for the number, essentially the number one contender, was a great match, and man, what a finish! But anyway, the Cyborg Justino fight, I don't think it was really a surprise to anybody that she won. I think everybody probably knew that she was going to win because, I mean, basically, she's a man. She's been caught several times doping, or should I say, using steroids, and she really like. I mean, all you have to do is look at her, and you realize that's not a normal woman, and she really like she just physically outclasses everybody else in the women's divisions. I mean, she's built differently than they are. But I will say this: her opponent, man, what a game fight she put on. That chick is tough as hell, and I would not want to face her because she would kick my ass. In the Tyrone Woodley fight, let's be honest, guys. Tyrone Woodley could have won that match at any moment. He could have finished that guy anytime he wanted to. That was like a Mayweather performance, and I understand that, I understand he didn't want to take a lot of risks. I understand that, he just wanted to defend the belt, and he definitely didn't feel like he was threatened at any point. But really, that was a boring match, and I think some of the things that I've read are really true. In that, I mean, are people going to want to watch him again soon? Not really, because it was a boring fight. I mean, the guy was turned into a defensive fighter. They set a record for lowest number of strikes in an entire fight, and it was just boring. Which, of course, then brings us to the final fight of the night, which I thought maybe even was a contender for fight of the night, because first and foremost, Daniel Cormier. All props to that guy. That dude, like, really, I'm not a Daniel Cormier fan. I'll say that to anybody. Honestly, I don't really like the guy. I think he's mouthy. I don't like his style of interviewing. I don't like the trash talk that he does. I think he's a punk. But I will say this: the dude can fight, and I mean the dude can really fight. And last night he showed championship caliber skills, because I mean he went in there completely different from the first fight. The first fight, John Bones Jones absolutely dominated the first fight. I don't think anybody can deny that. Cormier had no chance in the first fight. This fight was even for almost the entirety of the fight. For 2.5 rounds, Cormier was calculating, patient, and technical. And I mean, he gave Bones everything that dude could handle. He had Bones backing up a lot. He staggered him a couple of times really good. So he was really, I think he was a test that Bones had not had yet, which was, he hadn't really fought a fighter of that caliber so far from the matches that I've seen John Jones fight. And John Jones really stepped up, man. He came back after, I mean, think about it, guys. He was out for 30 months. That's a long, long time. That dude came back, and it looked like he had no ring rust whatsoever. He came back and he fought an incredibly good, very technical fight. Which, and he changed his style up, that I had noticed. Like, he wasn't quite as unpredictable as he normally is in his fights. He was a lot more calculated, and he had a really good strategy, which he played to the best of his ability. And props to that dude. That dude's a fighter. And there is a reason that he's considered one of the best fighters of all time, possibly the best. That dude he's a beast. And I like the fact that, the leg kicks that he was employing, the low kicks that he was employing through the entire fight, like not only were they sapping away Daniel Cormier's mobility, because you could see by the middle of the third round that Cormier he was not as spry as he had been for the rest of the fight. He was not quite as snappy on his legs, on his feet. He was slowing down. He wasn't able to move out of the way of some stuff. And in addition to that, it set him up because when Jon Jones would chamber his leg for the kick, he would automatically try to defend low because he thought that a low kick was coming. And then Jon Bones Jones he waited and waited patiently for his opportunity. And when it came, his timing was perfect and his aim was spot on. Caught that dude right on the button, and it was all over from then on. And then after the fight, I kind of understand why Cormier walked away from Big John and from the announcement, because I guess from what I can understand, he believed that the fight was stopped early because he didn't realize that he'd been knocked out. And I guess, he got sent to the hospital with a concussion. So I think he really didn't know what happened until they showed him the replay, at which point he was like, oh, man, I got my ass knocked out. And he did, big time. So, but after the announcement, I have to say I was the most impressed with Jon Jones, especially by the level of maturity that he displayed. Because he could have done what the two of them had been doing all along, and he could have trash-talked, and he could have called the guy a punk and all kinds of names. He could have swore at him. But Jon Jones stepped up and he manned up, and he took the high road, and I really appreciated that from him. It was good to see, because that's behaving like a champion. That is carrying yourself like a champion. That is portraying yourself to your fans like a champion should. And I'm much happier with his run as a champion now than I was at his previous run, and I've been a Jon Bones Jones fan since his first fight. I mean, that dude's legit. You watch some of his early fights and you can tell immediately that there is going to be something really special about that guy. So, and then of course, he called up Brock Lesnar, which I think would be a great fight between the two of them. Man, what a super fight that would make. And I think that they would do well over 1 million pay-per-view buys if that came to pass. That would be a great thing to watch. But, that's not going to happen for, at the very least, 6 months, because Lesnar has to serve out the rest of his 1-year suspension, and you all know how the whole story behind that. Anyway, I just wanted to post up my personal reaction to that fight, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I know a lot of you guys who are on my channel don't know that I'm a UFC fan or that I'm a fight fan, and that I've been watching boxing since I was a wee little lad, since I was a kid at my father's knee. And I remember like growing up, I remember watching all of the greats in boxing matches on CBS, and watching Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Duran, Thomas the Hitman Hearns, Iron Mike Tyson, watching Roy Jones Jr. I remember watching all those guys, man. I'm talking like the greats of the greats. And it was a really great time in fighting. And then, of course, when I was about 8 years old, I went to my first class in judo, and I have been a martial arts fan ever since then. And I really appreciate the skill involved and the amount of dedication, and I really appreciate the amount of sacrifice that those fighters go through. Because a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people don't see what they have to go through to be a fighter. There's a lot of sacrifice involved, and I've got I got nothing but respect for those guys. So anyway, again, I just wanted to post this up as a response. My reaction to UFC 214. I hope you guys got to watch it, and if you did, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, because it really was an entertaining. Other than the Woodley fight, it was a really entertaining night, and there were some really great fights on that card. But anyway, again, as always, if you guys like what I do, please like, comment, subscribe. Click that little notification bell down in the corner there. That will notify you anytime any of my new videos come out, or if I go on a live stream. Share this to people that you think might appreciate my stuff. I appreciate everything that you guys do. Any likes, or even if you dislike, whatever, you're still watching. I appreciate it. I appreciate it all. I hope that you guys had a great weekend. Keep it dirty side down and have a productive day.